There are so many things citizens can't agree on. Which unit is the best? Which members are getting preferential treatment from SM Entertainment? How many members should be in NCT? But there's one thing I think most citizens can agree on, and that is that SM is a hot mess when it comes to managing NCT units. So I'm here today to fix that. I'll let you know what the original concept behind each NCT unit was, what SM then did with that concept and unit, and I'll lay out my ideas on what SM Entertainment should have done. Because I think a lot of these concepts could have worked. I'll try to leave timestamps and other info in the description, so make sure to check that out. I decided to film this video now because of my TikTok. On there I mentioned that I had a plan in mind of how I would have organized NCT Dream, and someone asked me to elaborate. So I decided to post a full version of all units on here. But make sure to check out my TikTok if you're interested. I post about loads of different K-pop stuff, NCT, other groups as well, my collection, drama, just everything. I'll leave the link down below in the description as well. So now let's just get right into it and start. And the first unit I'm going to talk about is NCT Dream. Here's what the original NCT Dream concept was supposed to be. Don't worry, I'll keep it short and sweet. So if you already know, you won't be bored out of your mind, and if you don't know, you'll understand in just a minute. So let's go. NCT Dream were supposed to be the youngest members of NCT, and in order to stay the youngest, they were based on the graduation concept. This means that once a member enters adulthood, they would leave the unit, and new younger members would join the unit. And this is what it looked like in reality. First, they started out with 7 members. The youngest being Jisung, he was born in 2002. Then Chunlo, born in 2001. There were 4 2000-liners, Nonjin, Jaenu, Haechan, and Jaemin. And the oldest member, Mark, was born in 1999. These 7 had their debut together as NCT Dream with the song Chewing Gum. Then their first comeback, My First and Last, rolled around. And while they were officially still 7 members, there was a slight change. Jaemin was actually injured during this time, so he didn't promote with them. This was also the case for We Young, which came out about 1 year after their debut. And then in early 2018, Jaemin came back. So they were back to being the original 7. They had one last comeback together as 7 with We Go Up, and then Mark officially graduated, meaning he left the group. The following comeback, We Boom, was then made with the 6 remaining members. Everyone assumed that the 2000-liners, who were just 1 year younger than Mark, would leave after that year, but they didn't. Instead, they had their next comeback with Reload or Writing, and then in 2021, Mark came back, and NCT Dream was just announced as a fixed unit with 7 members, and their original concept was just completely abandoned at that point. So yeah, with 0 members added, and only 1 member graduating and then coming back, I don't think it's outlandish to say that this concept was kind of a fail. So here's what I would have done with the graduation concept. I do want to say that I love NCT Dream as 7, and I'm actually really happy that the concept didn't work out, because I just want them as 7 to be a fixed unit. But for this video, I'm kind of putting myself in the position of someone who works for SM Entertainment, and here's what I think should have happened if you wanted this concept to work. So let's start with their debut. I already see an issue with the original lineup, and that is that it's not balanced at all. 1 person born in 1999, 1 born in 2001, 1 born in 2002, and 4 people born in 2000. This means that if the 2000-liners do graduate and leave the group, that will be a huge change for the entire unit. So I think there should be a maximum of 3 members within each birth year. This means I now have to remove 1 of the 2000-liners. And again, I don't actually want this person to not be in Dream. This is all just how it could have worked out. I don't want to keep saying this, so just keep this in mind throughout the entire video, okay? The member I decided on removing is Jaemin, which if they had actually not put Jaemin in NCT Dream, that would have been a huge detriment to the group, but I decided to remove him simply because he actually didn't promote with Dream for a while during My First and Last and Be Young. And so if I just remove him from this lineup, I don't have to consider that in further planning. So yeah, for this one, I'm removing Jaemin, and I'm also going to add a member to the debut lineup. And I'm going to add a 2001-liner. So this way, when the 2000-liners graduate, there's still 3 original members left. Now this 2001-liner could be anybody, but I'm just going to put Sungchan there because he's a 2001-liner that we know. He was already training at that time, so I'm just going to put him in there because it makes sense to me. So this is the debut lineup. Then we enter the year 2017 with their first comeback, My First and Last. And I would do a member lineup change there. I would start changing up the members from the very beginning with the very first comeback so that the fans will get used to it. The fans already know what the concept is, they're expecting it at some point or the other, and they want to change the lineup as soon as possible so they don't get too attached. During their first comeback, I would add a new member. And this new member would be the new youngest, born in 2003, so 1 year after Jisung. I think it's important to add a member and not remove a member at the same time, because if it happens at the same time, the new member will just feel like a replacement for the old one. So yeah, this is what it would look like for their first comeback. And then for their next comeback with Young, I would do that one without Mark. If we stuck to the timeline SM went with, then yes, that would mean that I'm kicking him out before he becomes a legal adult. I'm actually just gonna ignore it for this video because I don't think it was that necessary. And I would kind of keep going that way with adding members one comeback and then removing others the next. So for Go, which was on the NCT 2018 Empathy album, I would have these current NCT Dream members participating as Dream, as well as 2 additional members born in 2004. I'm adding 2 because, as you can see, next up in the graduation line are 3 people, so we need more members to make it even. And then the next album we go up would be without the 2000 liners. I think with this quick change of members, the concept would actually work out. I think the fans would accept it. It would be easy to understand how this entire thing works out. And overall, I think that if you want to make the graduation concept work, this is kind of the way you have to do it. This would also mean that NCT Dream as a unit wouldn't be as important as it is now with the way SM are actually doing it, because stuff like concerts and so on wouldn't work as well. But yeah, that's how I would organize NCT Dream. And just so you know, later on I will be talking about what happens with the members after they graduate, and I will also be talking about Jaemin. I did not just remove him from NCT completely, don't worry. Now we're going to quickly move on to NCT Illichil, and I don't think there's going to be as much to say about them. Let's just see. So NCT Illichil were introduced as the fixed unit of NCT. They were the one unit that was not supposed to have lineup changes, which is absolutely hilarious because they're the fixed unit with the most lineup changes. So NCT Illichil had their debut with Fire Truck in 2016, and there were 7 members. Like I said, these 7 members were supposed to make up the core unit, fixed unit, that is just the heart of NCT. But SM kind of already abandoned this concept with their very first comeback, because they added 2 members, Doyoung and Johnny. So starting from Limitless, NCT Illichil were actually 9 members. These 9 members stayed as NCT Illichil up until Empathy, and after that, Jungwoo, who was introduced as a new NCT member during Empathy era, joined NCT Illichil. So during Regular and Simon Says, NCT Illichil was a 10-member unit because Jungwoo was now added to the mix. Then Superhuman era came, and Winwin left. I'm not sure if Winwin ever officially left Illichil because it was announced that he would just kind of take a break, not really be there, but you know, it's been years at this point, it's pretty obvious Winwin is not in NCT Illichil. And this is probably because of WayV. And yeah, I'll be talking about WayV in a second as well, but yeah. So yeah, this is what NCT Illichil is currently like. Now here's what I would have done with NCT Illichil if I wanted them to be the fixed unit of NCT. This sounds extremely obvious, but if I wanted NCT Illichil to be a fixed unit, I would have just have them be a fixed unit. So the first obvious step here would be to either keep the 7 members and not add anyone, or add all the additional members from the very start, starting at debut. What I'm going to do is have Johnny and Doyoung be there from the very start. Them joining during Limitless had seemingly no reason at all behind it. They were already at SM. They were already known because they were SM rookies. Which, quick side note, the SM rookies were NCT when they were still trainees, and we knew that they were going to be in NCT. So that way a lot of the members were already known before they even had their debut. And Doyoung and Johnny were among those members, and everybody was confused why these 2 weren't in Illichil in the first place. So yeah, I would have added these 2 to Fire Truck from the very beginning. I am a little conflicted on what to do with Winwin here, because I actually don't 100% understand the reasoning why he couldn't be in Illichil and WayV at the same time. I think they just didn't really want to have the Haechan Mark situation where you are in Dream, but you kind of have to prioritize Illichil, so they're not really promoting in the other unit. And I think that they just wanted WinWin to completely be in WayV, so that he would be there for all the promotions, and especially because with WayV, there's also this entire China situation going on. Basically, WayV are a Chinese subunit. This also means that they promote in China, technically. And they like need the Chinese market and everything. And China sometimes has a K-pop ban. And so with WinWin being in Illichil as well as with WayV, it would have been difficult because he would be like a K-pop idol. And so there would be certain times where he wouldn't really be allowed to promote in China, from what I can understand from the entire situation. This is also why WayV aren't as official of a subunit of NCT as the other units are. This entire thing doesn't matter that much in the grand scheme of things of what I'm talking about here, so let's just move on from that entire thing and have WinWin kind of floating around here. Maybe we'll come to a conclusion with him later on in the video. But yeah, that's already it with NCT Illichil. I would have had them as a fixed unit from the very start, with the debut members as well as Johnny and Doyoung, and I would have not added Jungwoo at any point. As with Jaemin, we will be talking about Jungwoo later on. Don't worry about it. Now we're moving on to WayV. WayV are also a fixed unit, and they're the Chinese subunit. So this means that their songs are Chinese, they have Chinese content, all of the members speak Mandarin Chinese, some of them also speak Cantonese, but like, yeah. Now, WayV's lineup in itself, I wouldn't actually change much about. I actually wouldn't change anything about it. And like before, y'all comment on that, because I know that there's people who don't want Lucas to be in WayV, people want him to be in WayV. It's this entire thing. I'm not considering scandals in this entire organization thing, especially because when WayV was formed, there was no way anyone could have known what happened. So I'm just going to pretend that nothing happened at all, just in order for this video to work. So yeah, I would have these 7 members actually be in WayV exactly how they are. However, I would have introduced them a bit differently because WayV is very detached from NCT. And they especially were detached in the beginning. This is partially because of this K-pop ban I talked about earlier, so during debut era they kind of had to be very separate. But during the formation of WayV, which was already pretty clear during Empathy era, NCT 2018, there was no reason to not include WayV in that. They were hinting towards and all of that stuff, and I think that they could have done it a lot better. So here's what I would have done. The first thing I would have done is include Kun more from the very start. Kun was one of the SM rookies, and everybody was extremely upset that he didn't have his proper debut. He did have a part in the song Without You Chinese version, so when NCT had their debut, it was The Seventh Sense as well as Without You, and then there was a Chinese version of the song Without You, which was not officially promoted at all, and Kun was in that song. It wasn't a real debut. He didn't really get to promote, and then he was still kind of gone for like 2 years. So everybody was very upset because people were looking forward to him and he just wasn't there. So I think SM should have done more with Kun during those years. He could have been in the official Without You version, the Korean one, and he also could have done more NCTU stuff, or just SM station stuff, something like that. This also includes putting him in a real unit for NCT 2018. For example, if they didn't want to put him in Boss, he could have been in Tende, which was an SM station that's also on the album. They could have just properly included that song in NCT 2018 promotions, have Kun in that. Everyone's like, oh my god, here's Kun. Because with the way they actually did it, he was just kind of a background dancer for Black on Black, and nobody was happy with that. So this way I would have had people pay attention to Kun more, and therefore be more interested in WayV. With 10, it's kind of a difficult subject because the reason he wasn't active after the Seventh Sense, besides his SM stations, is officially because he was injured. I can't change that, so I'm just gonna kind of like not change anything about his promotions in that sense, because I also wouldn't have put him in Illichil Dream. I think they did a good job introducing Lucas with Boss because people were very interested in him after that. And the connection between Illichil and WayV was there with WinWin, which is why I would still have WinWin in both units if possible. And I also would have introduced the 3 new members very differently. So in late 2018, we got introduced to 3 new SM rookies, Yang Yang, Xiaojun, and Henry, and they then had their debut with WayV in 2019. I would have introduced these 3 earlier. I would have actually already included them in NCT 2018. Because this way, by introducing them completely detached from any NCT promotion, less fans cared. Only people that were really keeping their eye out on social media actually knew of them. But people who were just keeping up with their favorite unit and that's it had no idea what was going on, basically. And it was just super easy to not care about them. So I would have included these 3 members in NCT 2018. So they would promote with the other members and just had more reach. Side note with different mic quality, I'm sorry, but you can tell that this would have probably worked very well because after they participated in NCT 2020, their popularity skyrocketed, especially Xiaojun. So if they just had done that pre-debut, that would have been great. On one hand, you could have added them to Boss, obviously, could have had a completely different lineup there. Or just in the album, have another NCT U song with these members on it. Or have a WayV pre-release. The NCT 2018 outro vision is already seen as some sort of trailer for WayV. And I think they could have taken that a step further and just have a song as WayV. This way, all NCT fans would already have their eyes on WayV, and therefore they would have a big fandom from the very beginning. And these entire in-fandom fights about WayV is a part of NCT and, no they aren't, would not have happened like that. So that's what I would have changed about WayV. I would have kept the members the same, but I would have introduced them more in connection to NCT. When it comes to NCT U, I actually wouldn't change much. Actually, I wouldn't really change anything at all. The concept and point of NCT U is to always have changing members. So with every song, there's a new lineup, and that's actually what they're doing. The only issue with NCT U is that a lot of people would argue that it's not really fair. There are certain members who promote with NCT U a lot, and others who are more so pushed to the side. Especially in the first few years when NCT U didn't do as many things, there were certain members who were in almost every single NCT U song and other members who were in 0. Now with NCT 2020 and 2021, everyone was in NCT U at some point. There's still a difference of which members get to actually promote, which songs and units get prioritized and all of that stuff, but I'm going to push that to the side and just leave NCT U as it is. Now let's talk about the members who don't have any fixed unit after the entire plan I just came up with. The first member is Jaemin, who, because I did not put him in NCT Dream, he doesn't have a unit at all. We have Jungwoo, who, even though he could still have his debut in NCT U with Boss, would not be put into NCT Illichil after that, so he would also be unitless. Shotaro as well, just like in real life, because even though he might have his debut in NCT 2020, he doesn't have a fixed unit after that. And then, of course, all the NCT Dream members after they graduate. So, because I have Mark and Haechan in Dream and Illichil, I'm just going to keep them there. I'm not going to put them into another actual unit. Obviously, they're still in NCT U, and also there will be more rotational stuff coming up. But first of all, they won't really need to be considered in this segment right now. However, according to my concept here, Jaenu and Donjin would be unitless starting from 2018, Chunla and Songchan from 2019, Jisung 2020, the 03-liner 2021, the 04-liners 2022, and so on and so forth. And I do have a plan for all of these. The first thing I would do is introduce another fixed unit in 2019 maybe. This would be the same year as WayV, but honestly, those are details I don't care about as much. So here's what the fixed unit would look like. It would be made up of Jungwoo, Jaemin, Jaenu, Nonjin, Chunla, and Songchan, all of which would be unitless in 2019 after being introduced through Dream and NCT U respectively. The good thing about having these members in a fixed unit would be that the Dream members would still be busy after graduating from Dream. Their fans would be happy because they would still have another group to support. A lot of the Dreamies would stay together as a unit, which fans would probably like. And I think that this unit would have a lot of supporters carried over from Dream's initial success. So yeah, because all of these members are no longer in another fixed unit, they could just have this subunit of NCT. The concept, I haven't actually thought of a specific one. It could be multiple different things. Some NCT units are based on area, so like there is a Chinese unit with WayV. This group could also be some area unit, although the member lineup doesn't really make sense with that, so I think this should be more of a conceptual unit maybe. This group of people could have more of a refreshing concept to them. But like, honestly, who really cares? The point is, these members would be a fixed unit. And then there's another unit I want to introduce, and with that unit I'm introducing a concept that I think is exactly what NCT needs. Because what I'm introducing is my version of NCT Japan, which has a semi-rotational unit. What I mean by semi-rotational is that there are some fixed members, and then there are other members who rotate. With NCT Japan, I would have the fixed members be the Japanese members. This being Yuta, I would have him be the leader of this group. He is a dancer and vocalist. There might be scheduling issues with Ilichil, but that is just a risk you have to take with NCT. And I would also have Shotaro in this unit. Shotaro, who was introduced with NCT 2020, will then have his fixed unit, and he would be a dancer and rapper there, which is also great, and I think that obviously NCT Japan is very fitting for him as well. And potentially the 03 liner I made up to join NCT Dream, who graduated in 2021, could also be in this unit, so if they had introduced a Japanese member born in 2003, this would obviously work out. He doesn't have to be Japanese, but he should speak Japanese. And because with the way I have planned things, NCT Japan would have had their debut in 2021, the 03 liner would have just graduated Dream. So those three I would have as a fixed lineup of NCT Japan. The other members would be rotational, so depending on the comeback, there would be a new lineup, just like NCTU, but the three members are always the same. So if the NCT Japan song is during a time where WayV aren't very busy, for example, if Win, Lucas, and Ten had some solo schedules, which is the case in real life, the other four members could be in NCT Japan. That way, those members would be busy, their fans wouldn't be mad, but it wouldn't conflict with any of the other schedules. And then the next NCT Japan comeback could be while Ilichil has a lot of free time, so then more Ilichil members could be there. And I think that this semi-rotational concept is really what NCT needs, because with the fixed units, it's just suddenly all of the members are busy and gone, and you just don't have any space for new experimental units, which is kind of an issue we have right now because NCT Dream and WayV are all fixed. There are just so many scheduling issues, especially because Mark is in NCT Dream and Super M. So there's just not a lot you can do, which is kind of the point of NCT having this many members. But I still think that having some fixed members is good. Those graduating from NCT Dream after this could just be in NCT Japan until there aren't enough members to make a new fixed unit, or there could be another semi-rotational unit, this time with these members being the fixed members. But basically, I think that they could also be integrated into the general system. Yeah, overall, I'm just very enthusiastic about this semi-rotational concept, and SM Entertainment, please try it out. I'm curious to see how it would play out. With the introduction of NCT Japan, I would also not have Ilichil promote in Japan personally. So Love Holly would have been an NCT Japan comeback, but, you know, those are just details. And that's already kind of it. That's how I would have reorganized NCT. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, because I tried to do this in a way where the fans would be happy, the members would be busy but not overbooked, and the concept would still work. Because the point of NCT was to be this conceptual group, and if they abandon these concepts almost every time, what's the point? But I'd love to hear your feedback on it. Like, are there any specific units or things I said where you were like, oh no, this wouldn't work because of this? Or do you have any more ideas? I would just love to hear about that stuff in the comments, so feel free to leave those ideas there. I'll be cross-posting a clip of this on TikTok, and chances are that the conversation will also continue there. So again, feel free to check me out on there. And if you ever have any questions, any topics you want me to talk about, feel free to let me know. Thank you so much for watching this, and I hope to see you very soon.